Welcome to an overview of OnTrajectory, part of the Mastering OnTrajectory tutorial series. The purpose of this video is to set up the general context for the remaining tutorials in the series. Our subject is a middle-aged individual who's planning for an early, albeit partial, retirement, which simply means they plan to continue to work, but at a reduced salary level. The first thing we'll do is review their income, expenses, and accounts. Then we'll take a closer look at the specific criteria defining each, and how that criteria can affect someone's financial trajectory. This individual has defined 4 income items: base income, Social Security, spouse income, and spouse Social Security. You'll notice that 2 of these have multiple age ranges, which we'll discuss in a few minutes. As for their expenses, we see a sizable but not unrealistic list. The first item, base expenses, has an orange G next to it. This indicates it's actually a group of expenses. If we click the G, we see which expenses have been grouped together. Think of groups as a sort of budget, items that generally remain consistent throughout our lives and do not have distinct start and end ages. You can also create ranges for grouped expenses as well, just as you see here. The other expenses in this list have their own beginnings and ends: daycare, my car payment, spouse's car payment, kids' college, etc. All of these are modeled separately because they do not occur uniformly throughout one's life, and that impacts what one can save at various periods. All of this data is compiled into your trajectory. It's important to note that ranges need not be contiguous. Notice that this individual plans to buy a new car at age 45, and then to replace it at age 60, leaving a gap between ranges of 10 years between car payments. Expenses can be set to occur per month, per year, or variable. For example, college tuition has been modeled as a yearly expense. Now, let's take a look at how this individual's accounts have been modeled. A quick note about accounts. You must always have at least one account in OnTrajectory, because you always need a place to hold excess cash as it accumulates. Therefore, you cannot delete the topmost account on the list. This topmost account is also where you define your taxes. Think of this account as the default place, where, if you had excess cash, you would place it, for example, in a brokerage or mutual fund account. This prevents you from having to calculate your anticipated savings every year. OnTrajectory automatically does that based on your income and expenses. Of course, you can create and define contributions to other accounts, such as IRAs, 401ks, 529 plans, etc. But any excess will be retained in this topmost account. OnTrajectory supports many different kinds of accounts, and it automatically enforces certain rules dependent on account type. For example, the ability to define employer contributions to 401ks, or the generation of penalties if funds are withdrawn earlier from a retirement account. If you click the wrench icon next to an account's name, you will see additional options based on account type, all of which will be discussed later in the tutorial series. You can track your actual progress against your anticipated average growth. This can be done either as a sum total of all your accounts or at an individual account level. As you can see here, this individual has been using OnTrajectory for a few years, so we can clearly see their progress history as it compares to their calculated trajectory. The green area indicates tracked progress, and the dotted gray line shows the extension of their current progress into the future should market conditions remain unchanged, which they rarely do. In any case, tracking progress helps you fine-tune your growth assumptions, and it allows you to make measured adjustments as conditions become more evident. Keep in mind that your tracked progress exposes the volatility of the market, so it's important to confirm broader trends before adjusting assumptions in the short term. Well, that completes this quick overview of OnTrajectory, but there's far more to learn, so be sure to continue watching the videos in this series.